Well, hello everybody. Lady Leeanna back here with you once more for another episode of Eclectic Spirituality, the live stream. And I'm getting set up here. There's a little bit of a glare on my face today because my TVs and monitors like to shine down on me just a little bit too hard. Um, Today is Earth Day, and a day to pay homage in protecting, preserving our Earth, talking about it, coming up with new ideas and suggestions on how it can be done. Hello, Sarah, and hello, Southern Skies. Hello, Vicky. It's good to see all of you today. Unlikely converts, and we're all filling up in here, so it is really good. It's a good day to get together. I mean, because of all days, Solitary Witch, hello. Of all days to come together and join forces in this lifestyle and religion, spiritual pathway that we live, all of the above. Uh, it's about protecting the earth, acknowledging that without it, there's no place for us to be, or our children, or our children's children in the future. And unfortunately, it's a very sad state of affairs here as people are chronically pumping heavy, black, thick tar and smoke into the air, throwing things down on the ground at will or out their car window as they go down the road, uh, just not recycling. And the world is building up just this big pile of garbage. Even in the sea, there is a island, basically, and you should look it up, composed of all kinds of plastics and aluminums and garbages that have been being thrown out forever and a day. And now the nuclear radiation from the recent Fukushima incident is saturating into that, and because of all of this together, it's becoming one big island pile of gunk that the world will never know how to get rid of. It's composed of several tons of weight in garbage between here and Japan, and that's really sad. We may think that that's the only place where it's happening because it's being called to our attention, but what about all of the things that are out there that we're not thinking about or isn't being talked about a lot, and even those that are giving thought to it that may work in the plants that are doing it or whatnot, or sweeping it under the rug because they don't want their privileges or rights stripped away from them. Vicky says, my husband just lost his job because his boss wouldn't stop venting Freon into the atmosphere. And I remember you talking to us about that on Facebook, and that's really, really, really sad. It really is. And, you know, these people, I guess if you could call them that just really don't care, will turn a blind eye to what you're trying to say, or just try to avoid you, or write it off to being logical or even legal wherever they possibly can. As Vicky was telling me, she had the problem with, on and about her husband's job, wherever it concerned him getting fired. You know, there is no way you could justify everything that is being done to the earth, and you cannot justify it being legal when there are very specific, laws of all sorts being applied to this, and actually quite literally being, publicized. Jay says, good morning. The baby camel was a male. He works in a zoo with animals all the time, and he had a camel that they were going to induce labor, and I guess she went ahead and went into labor and had given birth that night or early the next day. So that's pretty cool. I'm glad everything went all right. Let's see. Waiting for the tram to swing by to take me to employee parking lot. Well, good luck in getting there and getting your rest. I'm sure it's been a long day. But, and all of this is beautiful too. I mean, it's the animals that are giving birth and all that's going on around us that reminds us of the beauty that we are trying to preserve. So many people just take it for granted, go through their typical working day and just don't give it a thought. And they are also the same people that don't mind throwing that can of soda out the window or burning that tire, you know, out there right in their front yard without giving it a thought, or pouring oil or gas onto the ground, and yes, these at one time were elements of the earth, but they have been composed together to create another thing altogether. And a thing actually that's very deadly for the earth. I mean, if we took out all the trees in the world, happy Earth Day, Nicole. If we took out all the trees of the world and we replaced them with a tire, what do we have then? Well, something to drive our cars around on if they're good, but even that, goes to hell when it gets a nail in it or whatever. Yes, we do need these things. But in moderation and how to deal with it or whatever. In all reality, I'm a person that would be okay with them shutting down every planet in the world, stripping everything away from us as far as computers and the houses that are created, because they could be rebuilt with wood or whatever, and I wouldn't bat an eye about it. I could go back to sleeping under a tree or making a lean-to out of wood and grass. Otaku Supreme says, Anime, praise Mother Earth. Anime is written here in Japanese hiragana. And it's a word that represents cartoon shows that people like to actually watch. And the Japanese culture actually has a pretty supreme spiritual following. They believe in worshiping the trees, and that the trees are key, and key is the world and spirit around us and everything that's to do with it. Crone Alone says, good morning, happy Earth Day. Thank you for this topic today. Every bit helps, and keeping positive. And thank you for joining us. I don't believe I've seen you in the room before. You're very welcome. To celebrate Earth Day, I am doing a ritual that is repotting a bonsai tree, Jay says. And that's very good, and it goes right along with what I was talking about as far as giving homage to the earth, lending strength to it by planting and following, the laws of respect where the earth is concerned. And maybe I didn't say that, but it's exactly what I wanted to say. Merry meet Ronanite, it's good to see you, and bright blessings. All in all, there are so many people abusing that which we are given. And like I said, I could go back to doing without all of it. And yes, right now I am sitting on a computer, which is technology, constructed of plastic and aluminum and metal and this, that, and the other. But it is what we are given. It's where we're at today, and we almost have no choice. As a matter of fact, there's very strict laws about going outside and pooping on the ground. The city would breathe down on me, close down my business because it's a hazard to health, people say. Of course, because of that same thing, we are not giving back to the earth all that we're taking in to fertilize it and nourish it, which is part of the ecosystem. And the animals do that. Humans are not allowed to do that. Not so much anymore. Unless you live way out in the country. And then it's quite alright. What people don't see, what people don't smell, don't hurt them. But am I right or wrong? I mean, for that which we take in, do we ever give back? And that's the laws, first and foremost, of your pagan cultures. Abiding the ecosystem. Ronan laughs, Nicole laughs. But it's the truth. I mean, this is fertilizer in its purest form. And we're taking it. You know, we're taking food from the earth. We're ravishing it. But we're putting it in plastic. Plastic septic tanks, plastic piping that runs into the city so they can dump a ton of bleach and chemicals on it to get rid of it. And so this makes things a little more complicated for the earth to keep up. And I know that this could be a gross topic, but at the same time, it's a very, very natural topic at that. Jay says lots of pagans work in healthcare field, and that's one way of giving back. I am no different, he says. Just my patients usually have either wings or four legs. I love what I do for a living. And, you know, nurses and techs within zoos that take care of the health of the animals and so forth, they have very beautiful jobs. They're giving back to society in the strongest way. Plastic bags need to be eliminated. I agree with that, Nicole. Do you know what one of the most potent fertilizers you've got that can go into your yard? The grass clippings that you can mulch up with your mower and take and dump into a compost pile, or perhaps just leave it on the ground to rot and go back and fertilize for the next year. You know, it makes the ground so much richer. It does. And unfortunately, what a lot of people are doing is taking their grass clippings and they're putting it in black plastic bags and setting it out for the garbage man, which, by the way, they're picking up every Thursday, every Monday or Wednesday or whatever. And then they're putting it in the dump, which is a place on this earth and one that would be no good for anything later on down the road. And so we have a big, big problem with that. We're taking our poop and we're putting it in the septic tank, which is a big plastic barrel that holds it until we can chemicalize it. You know, we're taking the wood that's natural and growing on the earth and we're turning it into everything else, thereby making not only the trees disappear, but creating other things that are non-biodegradable with it. And that would be through your sats or anything else like that. If you have cause to disagree with me, then you can speak up. You know, but my point here is that we're pagans that work, or Christians, I mean, whoever we are that believe in the earth, know how to care for it to some degree as well. And the same as we work with the planetaries, with the sun, moon, stars, the earth, the weather, you know, the same that we work with all of that, we have to also learn how to work, you know, with nature and keeping nature around. I mean, because our poor children, you know, they're not going to have a place to be if we keep on. You know, and everybody says, well, I'm not going to, you know, have to live to see the day that this crap has gotten so bad. Well, no, you don't. But what about your children? What about your heritage down the road? The people that would carry your knowledge and wisdom, your love, your bloodline. Plastic water bottles are made of petroleum, waste product, and toxic. Oh, yes. Very much so. And this is Rona Knight. Nicole says, as a punishment, when my teenager wants to be, well, a teenager, we go out to the local park or whatever, and she picks up trash. That's a good kid. That is somebody that knows what she's doing, has her head on straight, and has a big respect for that playground, for without the earth, that playground doesn't exist. And Jay says, Nicole, My job is very rewarding at times, but it's not as much fun as you think. I have been injured. I worked several times over the 10 years I have worked at the zoo. I used to work at Fort Worth. You know, the zoos would be a very, very rewarding place to be working. And the hospitals would be too for those that can stomach it. There are those of us that are so terribly empathic that we can't handle being around a sick person for more than just a few minutes and would be running through the wall to get away in whatever way, form, or fashion. Not that we don't love those people that are laying there and suffering, but maybe we love too much, you know, or maybe we just have done that before and it impressioned us so bad while taking care of a sick or elderly family member, and you know, so we may run to get away from that. um you know, but some of us are just so empathic. If we were to work in a hospital, can you imagine? Or what about those of us that are mediums and connect in to those that have already passed away and from horrible, traumatic, and torturous illnesses? What about all of that that would just like off of our heads like rubber bands? You know, the zoos would be no less because the animals suffer just as badly, if not more so than we do, because they can't say what's on their mind. So Jay may have a very, very hard job if he is horribly empathic. And by that I'm saying empathism, it's a gift. The gift of empathy is a gift. But as we all know, certain gifts can likewise be a curse and get down to the nitty gritty and be torturous to us because everything that another person feels, we're inclined to feel the same, whether it's an emotional feeling or a very physical one. Now, let's amplify that 100,000 times, a million, a billion times. A million billion. Dr. Evil. Austin Powers. Let's amplify that a shitload, okay? And say, okay, this earth has feelings and everything on it. We are the nerve system of this earth. The grass and trees are the nerve system of this earth. And for everything that we, who are, by the way, also the nerve system of the earth, does to it, we're making the earth scream. We're making the earth rebel at us and resent us for all that we're doing about it. For there is no harsher enemy to the earth than mankind. Animals give back. The trees drop their leaves. The leaves biodegrade into a vitamin and it gives back. But humankind shits in bags. We shit in you know, plastic septic tanks, and we treat it with chemicals and pour all kinds of evil stuff on it. And then we pick up the grass clippings and leaves and put them in black plastic bags and take them to the dump. Or I've seen people stick them out back, pile them up till they're good and high so that later on they could use them to mulch the earth in the backyard where they're planting and all that. But at the same time, that plastic is being used. We're saying it's okay to keep creating this. Where I remember getting brown paper bags from the grocery stores and taking those home with my groceries in them to eat. And when bread was made in paper sleeves and brought home. Anybody out of you guys that remember any of this, say aye. And I mean, you can still get the paper sleeve bread wrapped and from the bakeries and so forth today. But yes, we're all guilty, and I'm not coming down on all of you because I am just as bad. My moms and dads were just as bad. Our kids will probably be worse. You know, a lot of our kids, you know, So I'm not coming down on anything. But I am saying that it's bad. We need to do the best we can to try to avoid this and detour it. You know, send it off in a different direction and make sure that we could safely secure this earth for our children and the children that are to come after them. And Crone alone says, I often work with school kids in my job. They are more aware of the environment than you can believe. If we raise our children with earth awareness, the tide will change. And I think that they are trying to help kids to understand this more today than what they did. Because if you remember, way back in the old days, we just naturally used the rustic thing that could go back to the earth a lot better. It was just natural because that's what they had. Then we went to the phase where polyurethane and silicone and all of this was so new that it was wild and everywhere, and it was the thing to do. And then today we're coming to a better awareness because there are, for one thing, a lot more pagans in the world. Okay? A lot more pagans. Or a lot more people that are more understanding of pagans and then opening up more. They're hearing more about how we feel and they're contributing, or just simply they're snapping to the idea that what we're saying is true. And, you know, we're saying, hey, we're having tsunamis over here in Japan that are destroying entire cities and flooding the whole island. We have tornadoes, we have hurricanes, we have earthquakes that are killing thousands of people, you know, all in one shot. This is the earth saying, hey, you know what? I'm pissed off. I'm not going to take it anymore. And I'm hearing it, you know. The Japanese have incorporated laws and regulations that dictate that they are required to recycle. Anyway, Jay says, Leeanna, I am being headhunted by a small animal practice, giving serious thought to their offer. Better dollars and less hours. Well, you know what? If it feels right, do it, but you're still working. I would take it. Yeah, an animal practice. You're still giving help to those animals. Wherever you implement yourself, your gifts and whatnot, you're still being that contributor. We do need to listen to the earth, Mother Nicole. A lot of people refuse to do so. And I you know, as a youngster, I threw a cup down. I did. Even a glass jar. I remember it, and I had a cop stop me and jump my ass 9 ways to send it, you know. And that stuck in my head. I had to have been 16, and I was on my way to do something. I don't even remember what, but you know, I carried that glass jar with my drink in it, and I didn't want to carry it the rest of the way because of laziness. And this is a very, very true story, people. And so I just threw that glass jar down in on the side of the road where I was, and it rolled down and kind of into the ditch. And a cop stopped me, pulling in front of me, and made me go and pick it up. Now, mind you, this was what, I think in the earliest 80s. Anyway, made me pick it up and, you know, asked me if I knew what this was doing to the earth, or that the sun could peek through that jar in its strongest point and start a fire. You know, from there to here, and it's been over 30-something years, I still remember it to this day. And that has impacted me to the extent of being a lot more fruitful to the earth throughout this many years. And so that cop, whoever he was, saved the earth just through those words, whatever damage I personally could do over a 30 some odd year period of time. Which, by the way, if you look at a person's map of their life, that could be a lot of damage. Nicole says, remember that old commercial with the Native American who was standing next to the highway? He was a big movie star back in the 70s and 80s. I remember him very well. He had the big nose. He had straight hair. It was usually in a pigtail and just tucked behind his shoulders or in front of his shoulders, generally right down in front of his shoulders. And I believe he was funded by Mutual of Omaha. And I love that Indian man. I mean, that is another icon in history that stands out in my mind and has made all the difference in the world to not only me, to millions of people, I'm sure. But that was rather cool, and you know, they need to come back with a lot more of that. An earth warrior. I think we all need to take up that spear and say, let's be warriors together. Let's protect the earth. Yeah, Crone alone says I remember him also. Sarah says, also I think that that's why more diseases are in the water, like the flesh-eating bacteria, like the case on the gentleman going to the beach. I remember when I was a kid in the 80s, I didn't hear about this. No, we didn't hear about this. You know, it could have been there, but I don't think so. And I believe that this is composed not only of the bacteria that are in the water, but you know, by the arsenic, the mercury, the lead, that if you look at your city's water tables, you'll find that in 0.5%, 1%, 2%, on up to 5% as far as dangerous elements are considered. Good morning, Angie. Yes, it's good to see you, and I loved it that you actually joined me over on my Facebook. It was very sweet of you. Let's see. Mother Earth will rid herself of us, and that's because she's rebelling out. That's because she's mad, and because of all creatures on the earth, we are the most dangerous to the earth. Now, mind you, we have very real examples that we can look at through history of what the earth felt was dangerous at that time and ridded herself of because she felt that they were not so great. And we're talking about, well, dinosaurs and the fact that those resources could be helpful to us in one way, form, or fashion today. You know, I believe was more man digging and prodding, you know, kind of like that alien that comes to Earth, you know, and the first thing we do is start dissecting it because we don't understand what we see, and we have to try to understand everything no matter how much we tear it apart, you know. If an alien came and stood in front of me, I would want to friend him. And I by all means talk about the space alien, not talking about the illegal alien. I would friend anybody or the person that is migrating from one country to another legally or whatever. But, you know, I like to be at one with anybody and everybody. The fact of the matter is that men tend to prod. And, hey, Z, how are you doing? I've enjoyed talking to you on Facebook a lot, and it's good that you've been joining my channel of late. You guys are wonderful. But, yeah, men are the most dangerous of all animals, as they like to poke and prod into everything, can't leave anything alone. And yes, I understand it's because of man's curiosity. And that is what makes us the most wise animal, or, well, we say it makes us the wisest animal, but we have to wonder if that's absolutely true or not. Because the wisest animal respects the earth. The wisest animal will eat that food and go out and shit it out in the woods and not put it in a plastic septic tank and then dump a bunch of chemicals on it. See? So you have to wonder, okay, yes, there's cleanliness, and there is today's standards and the laws that are put upon us that force us to use a septic and to do this, or that. But those laws are created by man, which are also likewise, as stated by me, and it's only my opinion, that men are the most destructive of all animals. Hey Winter Blackwind, it's good to see you, and happy Earth Day. Happy Earth Day to all of you, by the way, who didn't come in at the very beginning of the show. It's very great to be at one with you. And if any of you have anything that you want to say about any of this, by all means, do step forward and do so. I respect everybody's different opinions or ideas on the matter. And by all means, let's talk about what we can do to change things. For one, I've already talked about recycling anything and everything that we do or make. Like aluminum foil can be recycled, copper wiring can be recycled, and let's see, your newspapers can be recycled, paper of all kinds can be recycled. Your plastic, I'm pretty sure they have a recycling place for that. I try not to use plastic wherever possible. It's really hard to get away from because it's always there. And do realize I do take into account that, you know, we're all guilty because we are all there and it's right in front of us, and that there are laws that regulate that we do otherwise and so on. Lady Leeanna, are you vegan or vegetarian? No, I am not. I will eat animals. I will. Our forefathers and foremothers hunted and ate animals long ago. But I got to where I cannot or could not stomach the kill. I go to a grocery store. That's where meat comes to from me. Although to some of you that are vegan or vegetarian, you know, look at that as not being any different. However, I was raised in a culture and a belief that my mothers and fathers and theirs before them hunted and ate meat, and it's all part of the ecosystem as well. Panthers, wolves, they're all meat eaters. Just, you know, and animals we are, believe it or not. I didn't already talk about this, and that was a good topic. In actuality, I've been thinking about doing a video based around that, and probably still will. Will I use animal parts on my altar? Only if the animal has already rendered it to me themselves. Like, you know, a few clippings of cat hair or dog hair, or if there is a tortoise shell laying on the ground, or if there is a bone of an animal that has been picked clean by animals in the wild, I will use those things up on my altar. But I give respect to that animal and let it live within that working that I'm doing, and give that energy of that animal to that work likewise. And some of you may disagree with that, and some of you may disagree with some of the other things I said to the extent of actually sacrificing animals on your altar. I don't judge anyone, but I won't do that myself, to tell you the truth. Nonetheless, I feel that to a degree we all do sacrifice certain things, but the best sacrifices you can make are those of yourself. Giving up something for a year and a day, making a promise that you ever hold to, dictating your life to that you strongly believe in, or to a god and goddess to study under them or about them eternally. Those are the best sacrifices that you can make if you are going to make any. Now, the only blood I would ever bring on my altar is my own by a pinpoint or prick to my finger. And through this, I'm putting life's blood, everything I believe in, everything I want or hope for, into that work, and this is a direct representation of me. The same as with your hair or a snippet of your clothing, but realize that a snipping of your clothing or a clipping of your hair or a prickling of your own blood, they're different levels and strengths of your own DNA. Let's see. And there are people that agree or disagree on either side of it. But you also have to realize that I cannot put out one video, much less do a whole video where somebody won't disagree with one thing that I've said, because people have different ideas and opinions about things. And so I can't please everyone or do everything that everybody feels is right. or steer clear of what everybody thinks is wrong. One thing that we all do agree on is that our religious pathways are very, very much reliant on the earth itself and what the earth can do for us, or what it could bring for us, or that we have to have a cleaner so we can grow food in it so that it could give to us, so that we can eat and survive. You know, and one thing that we really do have to try to do is remember that all of these animals, if we think about it, then certain breeds are being named every year as becoming extinct. What that really means is that slowly but surely, every type of animal is being stripped away from the earth, and that means the earth is being depleted of life. And that right there is a very real symbol of all that I'm talking about right here today. Z says, I try to shop local products as far as it's possible, and I don't use chemicals to protect my garden. That's true. Using your orange scented sprays and stuff like that, always the best to try to keep insects down. They're using cedar branches around the garden's edge and stuff like this is by far the best thing you can do. And they even, if you don't want to make your own, you can go and you can buy earth-friendly products that will do this. Let's see. I don't have a car, which is good. He's doing a contribution there. And by the way, Lady Leeanna, do not have a car. I will say that I do ride with my husband in his car periodically, but only, and you can believe this or not, the only place I ever really go within my life is to Walmart or to one restaurant called Hibachi's, which is a Japanese style restaurant. And I go there about once a month. And believe it or not, I only go to Walmart myself about once every month and a half or something like that. I'm generally trapped in my home, and I go walking around my property pretty much for exercise whenever I do get it. Now, the world is so vast and big, and no one can say that you're wrong for taking a vehicle where you need to go. I mean, we really have no choice, and the call for jobs is so hard these days that it could send you, to a 55 to an hour and a half hour drive just to go to work, if not more, for a lot of people. And we can't exactly go with the horse and buggy because the laws prohibit us from riding that on the road, and I think that really sucks. I would go back there if we could. I really think it's more simpler, and I always said I should have been born in the early 1800s. Sarah says, very true. Thank you for answering my question as far as being vegan or vegetarian goes. And you're very welcome. Let's see. Zoos can actually be worse because they have no voice. That's true. And I said that earlier, I believe, very briefly. The animals can't cry out as far as where their pain is or what they need or what they want. And the same as your pets at home. So you have to watch their faces. You have to train them to teach you what they want or need. And I was always a very good pet trainer. I had a dog named Baby that I had trained to from the time he was very little to jump on telephone booths and turn off the light and then come and wait for his popcorn or whatever treat I would give him at that time. Usually a really good, healthy, vegetarian type treat out of a box. But let's see. And he also knew how to open and close the doors because I had a string tied to the handle. Or, things of that nature. He was very smart. And sign language, I would talk to him in sign language. And Ticker, another dog I had after that, was pretty good in sign language and some of those things, but not all of them after, whenever Baby passed away. Let's see. I don't buy anything with palm oil in it. Those videos of the orangutans, losing their homes broke my heart. Yes, I haven't seen those videos, but I've heard plenty of stories about it, and that is really sad. Thank you, Nicole. I would have liked to have been born into a simpler time, so Angie agrees, and I'm sure a lot of you do, being the pagans that we are. Let's see, as the life is ripped off the earth, I feel humans are also becoming more selfish, mean, and unsupportive. Yes, those ideas and concepts go hand in hand. I think because men have become mean, unsupportive, and selfish, the earth is dying out, and I believe the earth is dying out because we're becoming more so all the time. And we can't speak for everybody else. We can't correct everyone else. We can't, you know, abide the needs of everyone else. But we can do the best for ourselves in trying to protect these things or doing right for the earth, being unselfish, being more giving to other people, and so forth. Because this is viral. If you're good to other people will be good to you. If you're bad to other people, just because somebody pissed you off and you had a bad day, other people are going to say bad things to you or be bad to you. Hi, Gabrielle. It's good to see you. Good to have you back at your house, Jay. I'm glad you're safe. Anyway, so we have to really take into consideration all the other things that other people will not. Because even though we cannot stop what everybody else is doing, we can offset a balance. A lot of people will say, well, everybody else has just thrown that cup on the ground, so why shouldn't I? Well, the answer there is if you don't, at least there's a balance of the positive and negative, and so it won't tear up the earth 2 times faster. There's your answer there. If you're doing what everybody else does, it's just going to be double fast that the world's going to go to hell. Because for every thing that you're thinking, there's another person out there that thinks the same way. And as long as there's some of us alive, then it could catch on. It could be a wave of the future. And as I said earlier, look at how they are trying to be more eco-friendly and teaching the kids to do so more in schools today. Let's see. Are you going to be doing checks every morning? And what time are you starting out? I keep missing the beginnings. It's at 9:30. And you're right, Nicole, it is 9:30. Coffee with Lady Leeanna, 9:30 sharp. And if you haven't noticed, I'm pretty much right on the nose every morning. I do believe there's a possibility that on Sundays I may take a break from that, but then Sundays is the day most people is at home, and especially at 9:30. So that's to be debated. If I do take a day off from doing this, then I don't know exactly what day it would be. In the meanwhile, I'm okay and quite happy with being at one with you guys as much as I can be. I mean, you guys are really, really friendly, really becoming family to me very fast, and I am very grateful for that. I get so many of you that are saying, thank you, Lady Leeanna, for doing this, or we love you so much, or we love the show. Well, that's how I feel. I feel that if it weren't for you guys making this for me, then it wouldn't exist. Or making it for each other. And I see you guys talking in the chat room likewise to each other. And it's like, okay, we are all seriously brothers and sisters here. I'm older sister Lady Leeanna, or older sister Leeanna, or older sister LL, or older sister Lady. I've been called all of that just in the, 4 or 5 shows that I've done on here, and I'm okay with all of that. I'm one of you. I mean, we're all the same, and it is great to meet you, and it is great for us to meet here and talk about the things we do, because if not for anybody else in the world, we're making a difference to us, and we're kicking off the morning with a good bang and a happy smile, and we can go out in the world and maybe spread that love to other people. You know, You guys make my day and bring me up to happiness. And then I can carry that on to the tarot card reading clients that I have that walk in here or that Skype call me. You know, and so I can make their day. And then maybe they get off the phone with me, or they go to work from here or to their home, to their husband, and they smile at them, give them a kiss, and say, you know what, I've had a good morning so far. And so I want you to also. And that's what we're also doing with the earth. We're giving it a smile when we're picking up that cup that we didn't throw down. And no, it's not our fault that the cup is there. We didn't throw it down there, and we're not guilty of this, or that. But we did flush a toilet and put that sewage that probably should have been let out in the woods somewhere. You know, they could have eco-friendly helped the earth somehow. Instead, we put it in a plastic container and dumped a bunch of chemicals on it by contributing to the city and their laws and regulations. Okay? We didn't do what the earth dictated that we should have in the beginning, because we were born naked and pooping on the ground. I mean, it's really the truth. You know, we aren't doing what we should in a lot of ways. So when it's not our fault, when we didn't throw that cup down, when we didn't throw that wrapper down, pick the damn thing up. It takes you, what, 2 seconds? But yet at the same time, if that cup stays there the lifetime of the cup, it's killed how many blades of grass, or maybe a new fern, or a beautiful plant, or perhaps a tree that would have grown there, but the future of that piece of ground changed. It did. Because of a wax covered paper cup, or an aluminum beer can or bottle, or this, that, and the other. No, I'm anything other than a deity, my baby girl. Anything other than a deity. I am just one of you. I am your sis, but I am definitely there for you. That's for sure. And blessed be to you also, Carter King. I love talking to you guys, and it makes my morning. It really does. I am. So Angie S is saying 46 ... What exactly are you conveying? I'm lost here. I don't understand. Anyway, is there anything that anybody would like to contribute as far as a suggestion on what you can do for the earth today? Or, even better yet, stop doing on the earth, etc., etc. Give me your suggestions. Give me your ideas, because those are as important as mine. I love coffee with Lady Leeanna too. Wait a minute. I am Lady Leeanna. But you know what? I love the coffee with you guys. And I love the coffee with my deities. And, you know, there's so much more that we have to talk about on this show. Chrono alone says just have to work with the time you have in this carnation to keep your vibe high. Do the best you can to do what you know is right. And remember, we are living in a time of change. And that is true. That is true. We do need to acknowledge that we are changing, and we need to change with the earth, and hopefully that will always be in the upward position to do better for the earth. Nicole says, what time is Earth hour today? Anyone know? And I don't even know what representation you're making with that Earth hour. If you're talking about what time does Earth Day start, for me it's the time I got up in 1983 and says, okay, you know what? I don't like the way I'm living. Bippity boppity boo. I'm pagan now, and I've stayed on that path ever since. And Vicky Gillen says 420 question mark. Let's see. Carter Key feeding stray animals. Nicole says, oh, LOL, Vicky. And so I was trying not to show an expression with any of that, but now I have. And okay. Nicole says, LOL, Vicky. Let's see, Sarah. You were talking about the dinosaurs earlier, about how the earth wanted them gone and they went extinct. I think that most populations of animals, when they reach too high, they eventually have a mass die-off event. And that's true, but isn't that the god and goddess? Isn't that the earth? Isn't that everything playing in together to see that that happens, including their own nature? And Vicky says, actually, I think it's 8 p.m. Anyway, Sarah, do you think that humans will meet the same fate? I think it's quite possible. And I also think it's quite possible that they will meet that fate because of they themselves and what they've done to the earth, not the other way around. I like my sense of humor too. I think I've got a really good sense of humor. I'm kind of a laid back, go with the flow kind of gal, a hippie if you will. See, peace signs, love, and goodwill. That's what this lady's all about, you know? And that's what everybody should be about. Because, I mean, everything is so anal retentive. Everything is so pressing on around us in this lifetime that we haven't time to scratch our ass, let alone, you know, lay back and say, you know what, I just don't want to do anything today. Or instead, I'm going to go out to the park and I'm going to pick up some garbage because I know that out of all the 8,000 people population here in this little town that I live in, maybe only 5 will have the same idea and we can offset a balance there to some degree. Earth hour is the hour in which you are supposed to shut off lights, electronics, things like that worldwide. I remember and know. And I don't remember what hour that is, to tell you the truth. When I'm live streaming here, it's very hard for me to always give a lot of thought to everything that's being said or to go very deep with it because, you know, I'm not scripting anything and I've got so many things going through my head. I like to say that I'm multidimensional, you know, like that. And when exactly is Earth Hour? That's a good question. Sorry, I see it's 8 p.m. now. LOL. So, okay, everybody, 8 p.m. What time, though? I mean, we have US CST, we have Pacific time, we have um, countries all over the world that all travel on different times. So 8 p.m., is that just synonymous with where you are? Cheers. Coffee. You know what? This is coffee with Lady Leeanna, and I haven't even picked up my cup once. I'm just too into talking to you guys. I really am. Pardonnez-moi, ma chérie. Let's see. Mystic Witch. Hello. Hey, hey, hey. Good to see you. Blessed Earth Day to you, and I am glad to have you on the show. I don't think I could kick this off without you and several of the others who have been here every time so far. I love it, I love it, I love it. Let's see, Jay Garrison says, I feel it every time Oklahoma has an earthquake. Unfortunately, my pet monkey, which is a friend of his, works in the oil gas industry. These quakes are from the way they get rid of wastewater at drilling sites. I believe it's that and more. I really do. And I go through this little part on the times I mentioned that I like to go and have my Japanese sushi. And I do. I love my sushi. I love my Japanese culture. And so there's a little place called Hibachi's Grill over in the town, you know, a couple of towns over from me, about a 45-minute drive. And I have to go through this one place that is industrial. And oh my God, I want to just throw up every time I pass through there. And you can literally see the fog and smog and all of that. You know, imagine Pasadena, Texas, or New York City in the industrial part. You know, I go through there and it makes me just want to heave. But, I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, really. Let's see. How about we do an earth healing spell all together? in what way you want to do that? Just a bit of a prayer, or what are you suggesting here? And it's kind of hard for me to do that in my current situation because I'm in front of a camera and I'm limited because this is this kind of show. Now I could see it doing it for you in a circle magic when I'm using my big camera. I mean, I paid $1,200 for that sucker. You know, I could see doing that, and I can put it on a hinge that I got way up in the corner ceiling of my building to where it could catch everything I'm doing. But to be able to move and get things and all of that, and within an hour, you know, I get a lot of very negative flack about everything that people likes to disagree with me, Christian, pagan, or anybody for that matter. And so I try to stay at one with you here and try to help you. But yes, what I do suggest, and this is a very, very good and big suggestion, and what I will be doing later myself, by the way, is a little ritual where I'll gather up some fruits and vegetables, whether I grow them myself, and I have a few hanging on my trees, or going and getting a few things from the grocery store, or a mix of both. I'll put together a little ritual basket, a give back to the earth basket. And I'll engrave a candle out after giving thanks and praise to the higher power, calling on my four guardians of the watchtower, and then calling to the higher power to come and join me for this ritual, lighting up a black and a white candle for a balance, or one brown candle for power and for earth, okay? And brown is really good for earth, so is green. And you engrave what you feel on that candle with a ballpoint pen. It indents perfectly. You'll find it without chipping the candle or without leaving the ink behind. It really doesn't. So engrave the candle and put your name and birth date on it. Or put the earth, just write the earth mother, the love of the goddess, or something like that on it, and put the date and time that you're engraving this. And then brush off all the wax chips with a piece of tissue or something like that. And then anoint that candle with an oil for, you know, growth and love, things of that nature. I take some pine needles from a tree I have growing back here on a pine tree. I take those pine needles and I'll brush it all over that candle to anoint it, while I'm praying to the Earth Mother and to the gods and goddesses to give it power and strength to reach out and talk to everybody else about doing things similar that will help the earth and try to veer away from hurting it. And this is my best all-time suggestion for you. Now, that is a very good thing to do. And then when you're done burning that candle throughout the day, then you may take what's left of the candle and still burning, and the little basket that you've assembled, and kind of ceremonially march out back of your house and stack those fruits and vegetables in on top of each other, or dig a little hole and kind of stack them inside of it, and just leave them after you've said a little prayer for the gods and goddesses to watch over these and let them go to where they are needed, including animals that it may feed that would come up and feast upon it. And out here where I'm at, I'm kind of in the deep of the city that I live in, but the city is kind of submerged in forest and woods. So it kind of really works out for me. As a matter of fact, I was saying on my last show, I believe it was, that I have a skunk and her baby living on the premises. I have 2 armadillos. I have 1 4-foot snake and a bunch of little ones. I have, let's see, a baby rabbit. I think the mother either ran off or died or something. And a family of raccoons all on the property here. This is my family. I've been here for over 15 years at this one particular property with my business. And all the 4 mothers and fathers of these very animals that I'm speaking of right here, I know like the back of my hand because I was here and I've watched all of these generations being born. And I know their generation. Oh, and a possum family. And I know these generations because I remember the first time the baby possum staggered out from under my porch and walked out a few feet toward the highway. And the mother came out from under my building and got this baby possum and kind of corralled him back in under the porch in protection of him. And this was just amazing to me. I had never laid eyes on a baby possum before. And yes, I have seen possums and up close and personal, and they are really scary when they want to be, or they try to be. Let's just put it that way, right? But I have seen them up close and personal, and have had confrontations with them. You know, getting in my garbage and so forth, and running them off. But you know, a baby that probably was no more than 4 weeks, staggering out onto my grass, and I mean, he just looked so little, and he was corralled back under. This is nature, and this is what we're trying to protect. And I really don't care that the armadillos are digging in my yard. It makes it a lot of work for me. As one of my close personal friends from Facebook, said, you know, it makes it a lot of work for you, but you need the exercise anyway. And, you know, it's all in the love of beautifying your garden. But isn't your garden much more beautiful because of the animals that'll stagger out and into it? And, you know, that highway is scary to me. One year for Earth Day, and I talked about that a little bit on Facebook yesterday, and I'm going to show some pictures on there for those that are there, or on my YouTube. Maybe run up a video on it or whatever. I planted an entire row of hazelnut trees, which really rhizome out big time. And they get about 10 to 12 foot tall, but no taller than that, which is really, really good for a hedge, especially when you are trying to block the highway from your view, because you don't need a bunch of truck drivers whistling at you and honking at you every time you're trying to work in your damn garden. Or because you don't want, and this was my primary reason for planting this hedge of hazelnuts, which are still babies yet, I did not want these animals staggering out and into the highway. I have tried to, and I have prevented so far, over the past 15 years I've been on this property, a lot of fatalities of animals walking out into the road. And I'm talking about wild ones even more than civilized ones, because I don't have a lot of civil ones here, pets, on the highway, because this is not a housing area. It's a commercial one. So these hazelnut trees was my perfect way of not only feeding the birds and the wildlife here, but preventing them from walking out into the highway likewise, and as well as blocking those annoying cars and trucks going by, honking, whistling, and saying all kinds of things, whether good, bad, or sexual. And I don't know which category to drop that in, while I'm out there trying to do anything personal in my yard. Let's see. Does anyone else remember Mutual of Omaha? I mentioned that just a little bit ago. I really did. And about the Indian that Nicole, I believe it was, mentioned earlier, who actually represented Mutual of Omaha. So yes, I mean, a lot of us do remember this, and that was embedded into Bonanza and Gunsmoke and all the shows that my daddy made us watch with him all the time. Of course, we got used to them and we started liking them because it was what we watched all the time with them. So yes, all of these things, Little House on the Prairie, all of these shows, and some of the long-running series or short series had Mutual of Omaha commercials embedded into them all the time. I was a vet tech too, and she talks to Jay. And so we have a lot of animal lovers here, and that's what I love to see. Let's see. Anybody else have any ideas or suggestions on what we can do to prevent the Earth's destruction or to protect it? in hopes that it would carry on through our words or knowledge and go to other people. One of the things that I like to suggest, and it's new to me, it was an idea I came up with just over the past couple of years. Boxes. People like to throw away their boxes as soon as they open their goods out of it. And a lot of times we're ordering from Amazon right now. Okay, Amazon is becoming the biggest thing in shopping for your stuff that there is. And it has the Amazon logos on it, and they are boxes that are viewed by UPS and USPS as being standard size and would cost you less by shipping those to anyone, any place, or any fashion. And so I suggest not only do you save your boxes in a storage bin if you have room to do so, even if you have to flatten them out and putting them up against a wall somewhere till your need is there for future use. But also you can take specifically Amazon boxes that have the logos on it that are considered by your shipping companies as standard size and would cost less to ship your stuff in them because of that. Taking those, flatten them out, and putting them somewhere where you can store them and reuse them, whether for storage or moving or raising a little litter of puppies that's getting all over your house because they're wild and rambunctious yet. You know, although I like to give them a lot more area than that myself. But people like to box train their animals using this method. But this is one thing I would like to contribute. Save your boxes, even if you have to flatten them out and put them by a wall. Use them for storage so that you have them whenever necessary. Use them either to ship your stuff whenever you have a faulty shipment. You ship it back to whoever you got things from on Amazon, or make a shipment to a family member or whatever through the mail in any way, form, or fashion. See, so that's it. Or use it for moving whenever you have to move, or store things in your attic for that matter. After that last injury at work, I thought I was going to have to go on disability. Well, it's a good thing that you weren't so disabled that you had to. That's all I can say. I'm glad that you're healthy and doing well. Let's see. Not going to use the word hate here, but would rather not work around any Ikenes. What is that? Would you like to specify or explain that? Ikenes. Or maybe the keyboard just spelled thing or hit things wrong. And Vicky says, best I can do now is rescue as many animals as possible. That's true, and that's always a good thing to do. And it is showing and extending your love for the earth and for animal kind. Love to ride horses, though. There's nothing wrong with riding a horse. Horses, even though you ride them, you notice that they are very, very big lap dogs and pets. I've been around a lot of horses, and they love to take and put their head right over your shoulder, and they like to, you know, snuggle their head up against you. And yes, they don't know about their blunt force, but they're very, very big lap dogs. Let's see. We usually adopt these disabled animals that no one else wants. That's very, very good of you. It's raining here. After this video, I will plant something. That's a good idea. I think recycling should be a law, and I agree. And it is in Japan. These people have a right in each one of their tiny apartments or little houses. And I'm telling you, I know this culture like the back of my hand. I've been studying it for years and years. They have a recycling container and they have the garbage container, and they will get you. They will get onto you, even if it's the little old lady next door. They will tell you off about not doing that right. Let's see. There needs to be more recycling bins. Yes, they do. And in front of local businesses that have room on their property, it should be stated that they could do that wittingly and without permission or consent, you know, because, you know, it's not about that owner of the store. It's not about that, you know, just the mayor or whatever. It's about the earth itself, and we should all be submitting for that anyway. It's good that you're getting together with your friends, Jay. It's really good to get together with some friends tonight and talk kind of like what we are now. Anybody else have any ideas? I'm fixing to call the show over for today, and I'm waiting on any suggestions you may have. Mine was about saving your boxes, whether you break them down by undoing the tape at the bottom and kind of meshing them against a wall in your storage building, and they take little to no room at all, or storing your items or goods in your storage bin for future use, or moving or shipping other things to other people. That's my contribution. Planting hazelnut hedges along the roadway to prevent poor animals from walking up and into the highway. That's sad. Local recycling bins being removed because people are abusing them. That's frustrating. It really is. I do like what SOS is doing and what Goodwill is doing. They actually have a really, really big dumpster for their stuff. And people are dropping stuff off at their door. And unfortunately, a lot of people are throwing away stuff that is garbage just because they don't know how else to get rid of it. And SOS, the thrift stores are having no choice but to fill their dumpsters up with this crap. But at least they're putting it in the dumpsters. And at least this is being consolidated by the people that are too lazy to do anything else with it, by putting it there where it could be taken away in a good fashion or form by SOS that actually does care. And the things are actually being sold or resold for little amounts to people that could recycle that just by simply using it for what it is. Okay, and so I like the SOS thrift store retail shop ideas of things. Those are really good. Taking and making things that were one thing into something else. Like if there's a wheelbarrow you no longer use, maybe the bottom kind of rotted out or something, and you can't use it for what it is anymore. But you could kind of take a little brush painter or something, you know, and you can kind of paint it. Or better yet, better for the ecosystem, let it rust. But plant it full of foliage and let ivies and vines take over it and welcome it into nature once more and just watch it kind of deteriorate, because nobody can gripe or complain about that looking like a piece of garbage. Why? Because it's watching civilization welter away into nothing as Earth reclaims that once more that it belonged to. And that is what I highly suggest for you to do. Reusing egg cartons to grow baby herbs. I've done that so many times, and for my regular garden plants to get them started in the beginning of spring. Actually, a little bit into winter, I would start by using glow lights, and I would plant a bunch of baby vegetable seeds and herbs and things of that nature, and I would nurture those until it was time to put them out into my garden or into the flower beds, and I would use egg containers to do that, and it was very good for that. Likewise, you could use some of your egg containers, particularly the foam ones, to freeze ice for various necessities in the freezer if you don't have enough ice trays. And this would be like for in the summer if you raise rabbits and your rabbits get really, really hot, out there, or any animal for that matter, gets really, really hot in the sun or in the humidity or whatever between the times of 1 and 5 o'clock. Well, you can have these egg containers in a deep freeze or a small freezer if you've got room, and freeze that water, and then in the heat of the day you can take those and leave the ice inside the egg containers and just lay the flat down there, and the rabbits will lay flat down on top of that ice, and they will keep air conditioned through that day. They'll keep wet and cooled, and they won't have as hard of a time, because rabbits do not have sweat glands, kind of like hogs. I believe it is. Hogs do not have sweat glands. That's why they waller in the mud. And these type of animals can actually die very easily in the heat. And they're also why you need to make sure that their homes are under a tree or slightly in the woods, in shaded areas. Let's see. Burial practices affect the environment as well. Donate organs and such if you can, and if your faith allows. I agree with that implicitly. And as a matter of fact, they are doing eco-friendly burials nowadays. And I don't know a lot about it. I haven't done my homework on the matter. But they are like, I don't know, some kind of hay string toe sack type things that are putted with dirt around it or something of that nature, and seeds are already placed inside. And basically what you do is you do a burial of that person right there, you know, when they pass away, and you have the service for them, you bury them, and, you know, light enough, you know, into the ground to where those things can actually begin to grow when that body starts decomposing. And that I thought was extremely smart, and it just blew my mind. Of course, you would have to have specialized areas, because no one is going to want to potentially smell the decomposition of things close up around their house, or at all for that matter, you know, because it just stirs thoughts and ideas of morbidity, you know. But the thing is being cremated is one of the best ways that you could do this. Burial practices. Wooden boxes. I think personally, maybe they should go back to wooden boxes. And we all know that little nails generally do rust and go back to the earth, and it doesn't really take a lot of time. And Yamano says, I've seen lamp graveyards powered by the decomposition processes. That's very, very interesting. I'm a little afraid of it, you know, and I'm not afraid of death or decomposition of a human body, but I think that a lot of people would be. And it's kind of spooky, you know, to them, so I guess it's a little spooky to me. But I agree implicitly that that would be one way to run night lights, or even daylights, I guess, for that matter, if it's into a building or whatnot. Also would depend on part of the animal we're talking about. I keep feathers and now a robin's egg on my altar. So talking about animal parts or things that animals give us on the altar, you know, there are good, and there is being given willingly that you would use, and that which you take. One part of abiding the laws and rules of nature and the earth is only taking what's given to you willingly and freely, not take that or rape that from the earth that it belongs to without asking. As a pagan, when I go outside, if I have need of, say, a rose to go into a spell work that I'm doing for a client, I will ask the earth if I can take it. If it is given freely and willingly of the earth, then I will take it. And it doesn't matter that I planted that and that I grew it myself and that I nurtured it and gave it nourishment. It doesn't matter. The earth is making it possible for me to grow that and given me the place to do it. So, asking the earth for the things that you need is something that you should make a practice of. The pine needles to brush on your candle works if you're trying to do money spells. Your going out and getting something for your spell workings, or taking fruit or vegetables from the garden. It doesn't matter that you planted it. The earth made it possible that you can do that. Anyway, once again, I'm going to say I'm going to tune off of here. And I really, really do hope that you have a beautiful Earth Day. I really have loved talking to you. Now I need to go and rest. You know, talking can, for some reason, I get really high. And it's the spirit energy of all of you guys that are in the room or chatting with me. I get really, really high on it. And at some point, it gets so much that I've got to pull away and literally ground out, you know, so that I can get through the rest of my day. But I want to say a little earth-based prayer here for all of you and you with me. So if you will, let us just kind of raise our hands up and say, gods and goddesses, guardians of the earth, spirits of the north, the south, the east and west, far and wide, those that are about me, above me, below me, and with me, protect me on this pathway and spread this message and this love of the earth and of the people that abide the laws and rules of nature and wisdom. Carry it forward to where all men, women, children will partake of it and be a part of it at one with me and all those others that are at one with me. Let it be. So be it. Blessed be. And blessed be. I really hope that y'all have loved this message today and that you got out of it what I did. I'm going to take away with myself all the love and all the energy of you guys here. And I'm going to be grateful that I have that. And I'm going to pass that energy and that grateful mentality that I have on back to the earth. Because the earth needs it probably even more than I do right now, so that it can keep replenishing me later. With this word of wisdom, love, and acknowledgement, I bid you all farewell and adieu. And I hope that I will see you tomorrow at 9:30 for our next show. Think from now to then what you would like to talk about in the show, because although I do a lot of times like to name a beginning topic, it doesn't mean that we have to stay specifically to that, for this is Coffee with Lady Leeanna, and it doesn't mean that one topic is any lower than the other. Farewell and merry part, my loves, my friendlies. You take care of yourself, and bye-bye for now.